because it's been a rough year for them, right? Mm-hmm. It's been a rough year. They couldn't wait to get to the playoffs. Don't have to worry about tanking topics anymore as part of conversation. Teams not trying to win. Teams resting players. It's the playoffs now, and Adam Silver can say, all right, fine, finally, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Everybody wants to play. No one's tanking. Now we can have the best out, and the real season is here. Mm-hmm. Overall, the NBA play-in round, when it comes to its impact on the overall playoffs, sometimes it's okay, but generally you're fodder. Especially this year, you're fodder for the top teams. No one's winning in the West and is going to beat the Spurs or the Thunder. The overall impact of the play-in round on the playoffs is somewhat minimal.
You're listening to Jason Smith with Mike Harmon. Weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio. It's Ben Maller.
It's the gas bag on the radio who is tossing verbal raspberries at you.
Your late night getaway. The big dog.
Big.
Got it?
I disagree.
Good.
So I have abstract art, Fisher-Price, and the mighty Zoltar.
What the hell did he just say?
It's the Ben Maller Show.
What kind of acid was someone on when they cooked this up?
Listen on the overnights, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific, right here on Fox Sports Radio. FS1. To find FS1 on your television, go to foxsports.com for details. FS1. Go to foxsports.com for details.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
And here's what you need to know.
3 games tonight in the NBA playoffs. They're all game 2s, including in Cleveland. Cavs and Raptors get it started at 7 Eastern. Hawks and Knicks, 8 Eastern. Timberwolves and Nuggets at 10:30 Eastern in Denver. Timberwolves guard Anthony Edwards expected to start despite being questionable. Tomorrow, the Rockets and Lakers play their game 2 in L.A. Kevin Durant is dealing with a deep bruise in his knee, according to ESPN. Had to deal with some swelling as well after suffering the injury last week in practice. But the report says that the Rockets are optimistic Durant plays in tomorrow's game 2. UConn guard Solo Ball is going to miss all of next season because of a wrist injury. Dodgers place reliever Edwin Diaz on the 15-day DL. Red Sox beat the Tigers 8-6. NFL Network says the Rams and quarterback Matthew Stafford close to terms on an extension, while free agent quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo is considering retirement. Trent Williams and the Niners are agreeing on a 2-year extension worth $50 million. Brandon Aubrey of the Cowboys, the highest paid kicker in the NFL, making $7 million annually.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, good Monday afternoon. The Nate Brown Show is back and ready. Hey, met a few listeners today. We appreciate you guys. How you doing? Hopefully solid. Hope you had a nice weekend. We're back and ready to go. 2 hours thought-provoking sports talk. It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show, and it's always a great day in South Dakota, even back on a Monday. Glad you're here. The Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Radio. We're streaming on X right now. You can find us at Nate Brown Show. Watch us on X. If you have the app, bring us up, follow the show, and watch us live on your phone on X, at Nate Brown Show. A couple more places. YouTube channel is great. You can pull us up on YouTube right now. It's easy. Subscribe to the channel, The Nate Brown Show. Subscribe, and you've got the show live and the archive shows. If you miss anybody across the show platform, The Nate Brown Show on YouTube, and Midwest Sports Plus, our partnership with the new high school sports streaming app, Live Sports, and The Nate Brown Show live on Midwest Sports Plus. Do you have the new app? Hopefully you've got us there. We're on KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. Glad you're here on an affiliate Fox Sports Rapid City, and we're live out of the gate on a Monday. Big topics today. I know, it's springtime. It's sleepy springtime. No, it's a lot of things popping, especially a little high school sports action today. Something in my quest over the past few years. Yes, I've been on a quest over the past few years for South Dakota high school sports. Some parity, some competitive balance, some great geographical rivalries. Maybe not so much. My quest has ended today. I will get into this. Hang on. Yes, it could be a sad day on the Nate Brown Show today. I'm serious. I am not messing around today. Could be a sad day. I'm going to get into it. Hang on. Let's look at the guest lineup tonight. South Dakota Sports Talk Show featuring Matt Zimmer tonight. SiouxFallsLive.com. We had some Jackrabbit spring football and some good stuff there. Matt Zimmer's coming up. Sioux Falls Live. He's on tap. I'm going to ask him, how about Mark Gronowski getting ready for the NFL draft this week? We had Gronowski on this show so much over the last season with South Dakota State and got to know Mark, and I think he's an ultra competitor, just an unbelievable leader. Where's his NFL career? That's his ultimate goal. We'll get into that. Matt Zimmer coming up, Sioux Falls Live. We will go to the draft coverage from Frank Schwab tonight. Draft starts Thursday. You know this. Frank Schwab, some of his top picks. I want to get him. YahooSports.com, national NFL writer Frank Schwab tonight. And to the high school sports front, we want to talk to an athletic director and a coach. There's one guy that I think does a nice job and speaks openly about all these issues. Kyle Courtney's the athletic director at Rapid City Christian, and he's coming up talking high school sports here in South Dakota. It is a Reaction Monday. That means Rob Kagron is in. Full hour with Rob Kagron. Next hour, national radio host Rob Kagron joins the Nate Brown Show on a Reaction Monday next hour. Let's get you on tonight. 605-720-1067. We'll get you on the best we can. Try and do that and enjoy that. 605-720-1067. That's the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch. Two great locations. East River, stop by the Pizza Ranch in Brandon, and also on East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, home of everyone's favorite buffet. Your locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch, best buffet in town by far. And the Barron's Wilson text line open as well. If you can't call, you can text the show directly. Listener text line, 605-720-1067. And it's there on the Barron's Wilson listener text line. Okay. I said this could be a sad day, and you're like, oh, come on. Come on. Don't. Well, it's an interesting day. It's an interesting day. Let's start with this. South Dakota high school sports, big topics today. And here's what I've discussed over the past few years, if you're not familiar. I'm trying to find the model in South Dakota high school sports that would bring more competitive balance, that would save school budget money, that would bring fans and bring them more engaged, that would get programs better numbers to compete. And so I'm just trying to find that model in South Dakota high school sports, because our model for class structures, you know, the classifications here in football and across the board, our model is enrollment-based only. And that's it. So we have this old model that we keep on saying is just the only way to go, enrollment-based. And if you have big numbers at your school, you're going to have a great football team. That's what, if you have good male numbers at your school, you should have a good football team. And that's the model that we use. There is no data outside of, and then we pick and choose the classification cutoff at certain enrollments. So Aberdeen Central's a big school, but not big enough to be in the big class for football. Okay, Watertown's a big school, big community, one school there, not big enough to be in the big school. So we have these lines, these numbers, and we say, well, if enrollment's this, I think we'll put them in 11AA. And so, I mean, that's the truth. We just kind of pick and choose enrollment numbers, and we think that's probably about right, and we go with this antiquated model. It's just enrollment, and that's going to tell us who has good sports programs. And it's just not the right model. So I've been on this quest the last few years. Can we change the model, not kill the model, use the enrollment numbers for South Dakota high school sports, but can we bring a little more competitive balance so there's not teams that solely dominate a class in football, or there's not teams that have won 2 games in 3 years? So it's got to be a model that helps both sides here, and I think it's out there. Other states are changing their models. It's not like South Dakota's just starting and blazing a trail like we're just going to make something up as we go. Other states have said, hey, we got certain schools and certain geographic locations. Some of the stuff here, we got programs that are really struggling. We're going to have to change how we do this, because just if you have a big school doesn't mean you're going to be really good in football. And so other states have changed it. North Dakota has brought in a success factor. Wisconsin has brought in a success factor. Idaho has an opt-down model for teams that are really, really struggling, so they can opt out a class and compete, build their numbers, get some better matchups, and that's how you bring a program back from the brink of death. So I thought South Dakota would at least look at this, discuss this, talk about it, take it to a vote for the schools. Let's take it out there to the membership and say, should we tweak the South Dakota high school sports model to get better classification structures, to have better competitive games for more programs, and to have dominant teams maybe test themselves against some good teams, and to have really struggling programs say, we can opt down, we can come back, and maybe have a football program left. So what was that model? Enrollment with a winning percentage over the past few years. You can look at these various models in different states. And so the update today, why am I bringing this up on a random spring Monday? The update today is the South Dakota subcommittee on this success factor did submit their report. So if you're not following, South Dakota did go and look at this now. They put a subcommittee together and said, hey, how can we maybe change the class structure? Maybe we can have teams move down. Maybe we can have great programs move up. And how should we do this? So I credit them. They did look at this. They had meetings about this. There's a report out today on this. What did they find out? Well, for one here, they looked at Idaho's model. Let's look at it, okay? This is for teams that really struggle, not winning, 25% winning percentage. Okay, this would be for, let's bring up South Dakota high school football. If your team, East River, West River, wherever you're at, whatever class, if you haven't won 25% of your games over the past 3 years, Idaho lets you move down as long as your enrollment is also within 25% of that class. Okay? So they use, it's the same thing I want to use here, folks. I want to have winning percentage factored in with your struggling program. Hey, we haven't won 25% of our games in 3 years, and that's what Idaho does. Then they also look at your enrollment. Hey, you're not a huge school, right? But you're close enough. You could move down and go down a class and maybe compete better and bring some more numbers into your football team. So that's the opt-down model, and our South Dakota group, our subcommittee, looked at Idaho's model. They looked at it, but long story short, like I've got plenty of time, don't I? I've got plenty of time to discuss this. Long story short, they looked at it and said, here's what Idaho does. And they're allowing teams to do this, and they keep them eligible for the playoffs and stuff like that. But long story short, they also looked at Wisconsin, how they do a success factor with teams that move up. Okay? They looked at Wisconsin. I'm not going to break down each state, what was found out. It's a report, and it's out. You can find it if you're a high school sports fan. South Dakota High School Activities Association. Follow my guy, Matt Kearney. You know, the great South Dakota high school sports reporter. So Matt Kearney's got all this stuff on his X page as well, at Matt Kearney. So you can find it there. Here's the results. They said, hey, we looked at this, and we looked at Idaho opt-down. We looked at Wisconsin success factor and teams moving up. But here's what they found. Here's what they don't like. Here's what they don't like about a success factor. It, quote, punishes success. So that was a common theme that came. A success factor for teams that win. If you move them up a class, it punishes success. You know, and how about teams that move down? Like teams, if you're able to move down. Here's what they were worried about. Negatives. It could take a playoff spot from teams that are naturally in that class. So, you know, a team that really struggles in AAA football here in South Dakota, if they move down, we're worried that they would take a spot from somebody that might get the 8 seed in the 11 AA playoff field. They're naturally in the class, so we don't want to take a playoff spot. I mean, my point is, there's excuses you can make about all of this stuff. We're not looking past the initial arguments. We're just saying, well, if we move teams down, that hurts those guys. If we move teams up, that hurts those guys. We're still just stuck on enrollment. The magic number, here's what we say it is. Here's where you get to play. Good luck. Have fun. I hope you have a good program. If you don't, sorry. So it's just enrollment-based, and that's it. What are the final results? They sent out a survey to the athletic directors. So they did send out a survey to ask the athletic directors about, what do you think of the success factor? The subcommittee has worked on this, and they put things together. What do the South Dakota high school ADs think of a success factor model in South Dakota? Here's some numbers today. All right, mark these down from the Nate Brown Show. Are you likely that your school would support a success factor opt-down system in South Dakota? The ADs say, survey says, 65% of South Dakota ADs say unlikely to support. So my arguments, my quest, I'm dying on the hill. I'm literally dying on the hill today. The hill, it's my last breath. 65% of ADs unlikely to support a success factor opt-down. They asked more, 17% likely to support it. 17%. The odds are not in my favor. Let's go to what direction do you think the Activities Association should take now on a success factor opt-down? So, like, we did this work. We had this meetings. We looked at Idaho's model, opting down, and looked at Wisconsin's success factor, and maybe thought there's some things we could take there. So what direction should the Activities Association go according to the athletic directors? Should we move this forward so the Nate Brown Show quest can continue? At least maybe think about it, put it in plan. Let's try it. 70% recommend not moving forward, either taking it out completely or dropping a formal study and just continuing to talk about it. So 70% total recommending don't move forward with this at all, or just drop the formal study on the success factor for South Dakota high school sports, and then maybe we can still talk about it a little bit. Only 24% say put it to a vote to the schools. That's all I would ask. I just wanted to ask tonight, and over the last few years. Matt Kearney, my guy, we've been talking, hey, I think this would be better. Let's try and just not use enrollment. Let's try and have competitive balance and some better games. And why this school's playing this school? Well, that's because their program's not in good shape and they can match up better, not just using magical enrollment numbers and thinking it all works. Only 24% of the athletic directors said in their survey, put it out to a vote of the schools. I think we can at least do that. Here's the information. Here's the model. Should we put it out to a vote of the schools to keep moving forward with this? It sure doesn't sound like it. So success factor results are in. The committee's done their work. It's been a while. And it sure looks like the ADs have said this isn't going to work. There's a punishing success factor theme. I should say success. They don't want to punish teams and move them up. They say there's scheduling issues, timing on this. If you have a good program, then the kids that were good then graduate. I mean, there's a list of things. You could just go on. They say, this doesn't work, and that's not good, and this not good. So it's basically the teams that are winning and competing, they think, we're in good shape here. There's some teams that got to move down, like Watertown and Aberdeen Central. They got to move down into AA. They're like, this is good for us. But teams that are in that AA class that are way smaller than Aberdeen, they're way smaller. They just have to put up with it. Sorry, this is the enrollment, kind of model we've got, and so good luck. I mean, maybe next time. There's no. Hey, let's think about. It's over, Johnny. It's over. Success factor in South Dakota high school football. We've been going. We've been on the quest. I thought this could be reasonable. The folks on the subcommittee put the work together. What do they say on this show? Thanks for playing. Anyway, number one factor, they say, facing the Activities Association right now, what do you think it is? ADs were asked this. This is a good question. This is an AD survey. Number one most important issue facing the Activities Association here in South Dakota right now. What do you think ADs said? Classification, structure, and balance. Wait a minute. We were just talking about how to make it better structure, better balance. That's a number one issue. People don't want Sioux Falls Christian winning all the time, right? That's what I hear. So you could talk about moving them up, but we don't want to move them up because then if you move Sioux Falls Christian, well, then you got to move other teams, and they don't really want to get moved up. So it's an issue. It's the number one issue. Classification, structure, and balance. Number one issue, they say, the ADs. But we just had a success factor committee put the work in and give you a couple of different ideas based on other states, and then 65% of the ADs said, I'm unlikely to support it. What's going on? I'm lost. Maybe an AD can help me. Kyle Courtney's an AD at Rapid City Christian. I don't know where he stands on this. I know Kyle. I don't know where he stands on all this. Should be interesting discussion. We'll ask him some questions coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Some bread just exists. From its origin in a land far away to its destination as a bland sandwich. Country Hearth, it's made right here in the Midwest and is ready to get busy in your kitchen. Grilled or toasted and stacked sky high with all the meats and veggies. This is bread with a purpose, making every sandwich better than the last. From classic comfort to creative cravings, Country Hearth is always the right base. Don't just build a sandwich, build a legend with Country Hearth.
The Honda Certified Dream Deal sales event is on at Denny Menno Rushmore Honda. Get financing as low as 0.99% APR on Honda Certified Pre-Owned Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and Passports. Plus, shop a lot full of used imports and domestics. Virtually any maker model, including a great selection of all-wheel drive and 4x4 trucks and SUVs. See us at Denny Menno Rushmore Honda or RushmoreHonda.com. Length of finance contract is limited. With qualified credit, expires 4/30/26.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Mainly clear tonight with lows around 46. West winds around 5 miles per hour. 86 tomorrow. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, lows level up around 53. Upper 80s Wednesday with a slight chance for storms. Turning much cooler Thursday with highs in the upper 50s and scattered showers. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently 75.
Everybody knows to have success on the court, your team needs the right strategy. And it's no different with life insurance. Your team at home is counting on you to have a strategy when things get tough. Lee Cruz, agent with New York Life Insurance Company, is ready to help you make sure the most important people in your life are protected. Get a no-obligation, free quote fast. Just Google Lee Cruz New York Life. Don't risk it. Make the right play. Give your family financial comfort with life insurance. Get your coverage options with Lee Cruz New York Life, 605-360-8804. Google Lee Cruz New York Life.
Hanging with Brian from Anytime Auto Sales. I see new models of stand-up and teardrop campers on your lot.
Yes, you do. We're proud to feature the new SGC Armor line of campers from Bontrager Outdoors. Bang for the buck, there's just nothing out there like these new super cool Armor campers and Bontrager teardrops.
And the suspension these campers have? Wow, so impressive.
All our campers come standard with the off-road package. Bontrager and Armor just ramped boondocking up another notch. And right now, you'll get the best price all year on these 2026 ultra-light, ultra-beefy, option-loaded campers and teardrops.
You gotta check out these new look campers, people. The new designs are fantastic and so many options for their size.
And so many options for towing. No need for a diesel or a big truck. These only weigh around 1,500 to 2,000 pounds, so they can be towed by almost any rig.
Check out these new 2026 Bontrager and SGC Armor campers, everyone. See AnytimeAnytime.com, and as always at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
All right, welcome back in. We're just getting going on a Monday. The Nate Brown Show is on Fox Sports Radio. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on our affiliates Fox Sports Rapid City and also KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. Welcome in. Matt Zimmer's coming up tonight from Sioux Falls Live. A lot to discuss with Matt. Frank Schwab's in talking NFL Draft Thursday. Frank Schwab's coming up from Yahoo Sports. He's covering the NFL Draft, national NFL writer. And it's a Rob Kagron Reaction Monday, national radio host. Rob Kagron, live in studio next hour. Busy show tonight. Well, I started the show with South Dakota High School sports. Some interesting stuff from the athletic director survey on the success factor. You know, this is not just using enrollment, but also a success factor to maybe move and structure classes for South Dakota High School sports. So the subcommittee put in the work, and they looked at Idaho model, opting down if you're struggling. Wisconsin success factor, moving teams up and how they do it. Kyle Courtney's on tonight. He's an AD at Rapid City Christian, also the head boys basketball coach. So he's on the AD side and the coach's side. Coach, good to get you on. How are you?
Nate, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate your time after school. I know it's busy, so thanks for coming on. So I got a few things here for you, and I'm going to get into your basketball proposal as well. But I want to go to this success factor stuff. This is something I've talked about a lot. I'm a believer in it. I'm not an AD. I'm not in the middle of this. I think enrollment's not the sole factor that makes you a good football team or whatever it may be. I think there are a lot of factors in this, and that's what a success factor is supposed to look at. So the subcommittee in this state, Coach, looked at it. They looked at a few different states of what they do. But final results from the AD survey, 65% say they're unlikely to support a success factor or opt-down system. Why do you think that is? Pretty heavy no.
Yeah, you know, Dr. Suartos talked quite a bit at our AD conference about this. And, you know, you see it, as you mentioned, in a lot of other states. I just think, you know, South Dakota, man, we don't have a ton of schools. And I mean, just the disparity, I think, between, we talked about enrollment. I know you have 7 classes of football, but boy, I think that anytime you do some of this, I think especially in South Dakota, the talk is aimed at a couple schools. But I think it's going to affect more schools than what we're aware of. So I think sometimes the collateral damage of that is what people are afraid of a little bit. And I think that's probably the biggest thing with most ADs. Can't speak for everybody, but that's kind of what I picked up on a little bit.
Coach, how hard is it now? I'm going to ask this. For you to be an AD at Rapid City Christian and not just look out for Rapid City Christian. That's everybody says the ADs are only looking at their school, and we can't quite see the big picture. That's the argument, whether it's right or wrong. How hard is it to balance, well, I'm the AD at Rapid City Christian, but what's right for Class A, for example?
That's a great point. You know, I do think that's tough. I mean, I think everybody's nature is obviously, you know, to be selfish a little bit and see how that's going to affect our school or our situation. But yeah, you do hope that all of us as ADs that we look at the bigger picture and what's best for the state association. I'm interested to see, just to see some more research from the committee on this and have further discussions. I don't think it's something in South Dakota that we should just, obviously try to just banish all that talk because it doesn't fit our situation. But I do think it's something that's really got to be ferreted out and talked through and just figure what would that look like long term.
Yeah. 70% overall from the ADs say, I don't really want to, put this forward and dropping the formal study. We can, I guess, talk about it, but 70% say don't recommend it to the board and drop the formal study. 24% say you could continue looking at it and put it out to a vote of the membership next year. Would a vote of the membership be okay? Because then everybody would kind of find out, well, we looked at this, we put it out to a vote, it's dead. Would you be okay with that?
I would, yeah. I'm one of those who, like you said, I'm one of those who believes, we should still have some discussions. I think that's one of the things in South Dakota. Sometimes we're really slow to change, and that can be good, that can be bad. There's pros and cons with that, but I think having a discussion is a good thing, and continuing to have that discussion and look at it and putting it out to the membership. I have no problems with that at all. I think that's probably a good approach.
Kyle Courtney on tonight. He's the AD, head boys basketball coach, Rapid City Christian, talking high school sports here. A new survey was done with all the ADs, and not everybody responded, but a good chunk of ADs responded to this. So here's a couple of things I want to ask you. Top issues facing the Activities Association. I thought these were interesting. Top issues, according to the ADs, facing the Activities Association. Number one was classification structures. so the structure and the balance, everybody says there's kind of an issue there. Why is that number one, but people they don't love the success factor? I don't get that.
No, I don't get it either. That's a good question. I probably everybody's got a different reasoning for that. It boils down to, people obviously looking out for themselves as well. And like I said, that's the nature of it. You want to make sure you're responsible for your school and your situation. But, it's a great point. You bring up a great point.
It is interesting to me, and I think it's because, we maybe want certain schools to move up, but we don't want other schools to have to move up. So there is a classification balance that people struggle with, especially like in basketball, Coach. You know this. We talked to you about this before. There was a proposal that actually said private schools in big metro areas should move up. Is that what that leads? Is that what people are talking about? There's still people that don't maybe love classification balance in some sports.
No, I'm sure that's part of it. Yeah, there definitely is, I think, an appetite from some people to talk about that in the private schools, and you've seen other states do that. I've made my position pretty clear with you. I just don't think that applies to. It doesn't fit South Dakota very well, and obviously in our position, we would hate to see that to be a school, that's. Solidly a Class A school, probably in the middle class of, that classification, have to play Double A. But I'm sure that discussion probably won't go away, that there are people that feel the private schools should be pushed up a class.
One more on the one of the top issues facing the Activities Association. 44% of ADs say parent behavior. It came in number 2. One of the top 3 reasons for the Activities Association to deal with parent behavior. That's as fans and then towards their own program. What do you think of that? I thought that was a high number. I know parents are heavily invested now. They're very passionate. Parent behavior as fans and towards their own program. Is there some problems?
There's no doubt. I mean, you look at the culture of just youth sports and high school sports right now, and there's definitely a lot of things out of control. I don't know, though, Nate, that's the high school association's issue. I think that's more us as member schools having to, clean up and police our schools and our programs and our parents and make sure that we're staying on top of that. And so is it an issue? Yes. Is it the high school association's issue to deal with? I don't know that that's the case. I think that's more us as schools being able to do a better job with that.
Kyle Courtney joining us. A couple more for the Rapid City Christian AD, talking high school sports, some interesting topics today. So you brought forward a proposal for basketball to increase the number of games, just by a couple. Teams play 20. You're thinking, why can't we play 22? And you see other states do this, up to 22. 80s voted on it. They said no. There was some that said yes, but not nearly enough. Heavy no. What did you hear on that, Coach? You wanted to do a couple more games. Is it cost? Is it trying to get more refs? What was it?
Yeah, I was really disappointed. I really thought that there'd be more traction. I do think that a lot of coaches are for it. Just in talking with the coaches I've talked to would really love to see that. As I've mentioned before, we're, one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the nation at number of games. But what I heard there was that, a lot of ADs and especially like superintendents just feel like with budget cuts right now that they just don't feel like it's in the budget to play a couple more games. And also some people that just feel like, hey, they're having trouble filling a 20-game schedule. And so they felt like 22 would be too many. Personally, I get that, but I think basketball, is one of those sports that, you have a couple more home games and you're going to get a crowd and you're going to pay your expenses and things like that. But I just know right now with budget cuts around the state, it seemed like that was the overwhelming reason that I heard from people.
Why did you want to do 2 more games and give schools an opportunity to schedule more games just for the team trying to get some non-conference stuff? Why'd you want to do 2 more games?
Yeah, at the end of the day, here's how I felt. I just remember when I was a kid, you want to play games, and I just think doing what's best for kids. As I mentioned, I think you look around at all these other states. I even think North Dakota, who's typically behind South Dakota in most of these things, they just got the 3 classes of basketball a couple years ago. They're playing more games than we are, and I just think it's good for our kids to play more games, play a couple more games, and I just think that's what kids enjoy that, and I don't think it's that hard to find 2 more games. I think especially people having a little bit of trouble filling the schedule. If you allow me to play 22 games, and I think that helps a little bit with the scheduling as well. I get the other side of the arguments, but that's my biggest reason is doing what's best for kids. I also think it helps some of those schools that are in multiple conferences. We're not in multiple conferences, but some schools back east are, and it allows them to pick up some more non-conference games. It allows them to get in some more classics. I think in our case, probably to add a couple more classics or games against some quality opponents. I was playing 22, and even in Wyoming and Montana, who play 20 and 18 in the regular season, their playoff formats, their district tournaments and things allow them to play more games during the course of a season. And so, I just think change is hard in South Dakota. Back when they went from 18 to 20, that was very hard to get past. And sometimes I go to those conferences and I hear ADs say we need to go back to 18 games. And I just think that's not the best thing for kids. And I know that we don't have tons of college basketball players coming out of the state, but we're getting more of those kids that are going on to play at the next level. And they're going from a 20-game schedule to a 30-some game schedule, and that's a big jump. And that doesn't apply to every kid, but what kid doesn't want to play a couple more games? And so...
Yeah. No, I got you on that. Wanted to go to Kyle Courtney, Rapid City Christian AD, had a proposal trying to take basketball season from 20 games to 22, and the ADs voted that down. Last one, Coach. SODAC 32 has been talked about in basketball. So instead of the SODAC 16, we just seed everybody out, so you don't really have the top 2 in each region. Go to the 16. It's let's go SODAC 32. They looked at volleyball, basketball. So the volleyball vote happened, and it was voted down. So this stuff hasn't made it out of committee, but now it did, and the AD said no to the SODAC 32. Do you think the SODAC 32 will continue to be brought up?
I do. I think it's going to continue to get brought up in basketball and volleyball. In particular, there are some regions back east that are really pushing that, and I really like the SODAC 16. I think it's a good format. I'm not anti 32, but I do think part of the issue right now, just listening to some of the advisory committees as they talk through it, is there's been a number of different proposals brought, and I think they're going to have to really narrow down the round of 32 and what exactly that would look like before it's going to get passed out of a committee.
Okay.
I personally, my take on it is I would be more in favor of voting for a round of 32 if we could figure out how not to travel across the state, back to back. If maybe we went to like some regional sites where we're going to host these things and make it a really neat atmosphere for kids. I could see that being something that would gain more traction in a round of 32, but As is, at the conference, it seemed like a lot of ADs felt like the SODAC 16 is just a really good format, and there's probably not a reason to change it at this point.
SODAC 16 still surviving. SODAC 32 for volleyball was officially voted on. 61% of Class B's against it. 65% of Class A was against it. Kyle Courtney on tonight. Good to have you, man. I really appreciate the insight. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely, Nate. Take care. Have a good night.
Appreciate you. Kyle Courtney in tonight. Rapid City Christian doing a good job running the show there. He's the AD and head boys basketball coach for the Comets. Very interesting, huh? A lot of things to discuss. Success factor, he said he'd like to at least take it and continue looking at it and send it out to the membership for a vote. He was part of the 24% to say, let's keep studying it and figure out how to do this more than just enrollment. But we're about 70% say, let's just bag it. Youch. Frank Schwab is in tonight. We'll get back to some of the South Dakota stuff, but let's get some NFL draft, get you dialed in for Thursday. Frank Schwab, yahoosports.com, national NFL writer, my next guest.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
At Renewal by Andersen, we handle everything from start to finish and beyond. We are your full-service custom replacement solution. Buy one Acclaim replacement window or ensemble entry door and get the second 40% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
your show from East River to West River. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. Glad you're here. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio. Our affiliates, Fox Sports Rapid City and KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. We'll get to the text line, people sounding off on the question of the day. By the way, it's if you haven't heard this, question of the day, one of the top issues in South Dakota high school sports facing the Activities Association, AD said parent behavior. My question is, can the State Activities Association help parent behavior? That's my question of the day. I'm going to get into that. You tell me, 605-720-1067 on the Barons-Wilson text line. All right, let's jump to the NFL. It's draft time, man. It is draft week. Thursday, we're ready to go. Fernando Mendoza ready to go as number one pick. That's where we're going to start. And then where do we go from there? Frank Schwab's in tonight, the NFL writer, YahooSports.com. Find him on X at Yahoo Schwab. Frank, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. I appreciate you. So I'm getting into this thing. I talked to you before. I said maybe the draft's not quite as hyped because we got Fernando Mendoza, and then the QBs after that are like, I don't know. So I'm just going to ask you, how good of players, I'm talking the Jeremiah Loves and some of these defensive guys, is this draft class okay still?
Yeah, I just don't think it's a very deep class. I mean, there's going to be good players come out of here. Like it happens every year, but I think the challenge NFL teams have this year is finding those guys. I don't think they're obvious. I think even beyond the top, I don't know. Like it's a small number, a top 8, top 10 maybe. You start to have real questions about everybody, and it's going to be a draft where you just see a lot of teams, I think, being just safe. Like, hey, this offensive lineman doesn't blow us away necessarily, but he's going to be a good, solid starter for 5 to 10 years. That's fine. That's good enough. We're not just going to throw up an air ball on this pick. So, yeah, there's just no way around it. This draft class doesn't have a lot of flash, doesn't have a lot of sizzle. It's not very exciting. Look, not just quarterbacks, but really no running backs aside from Love. The receivers, there's no Jamar Chase in this group. The edge rushers, there's a few good ones, yeah, but I think there's no Myles Garrett among them. There's just this whole draft class is just a good safeties, some good linemen, but there's just not a whole lot of ready-made stars coming into the NFL at this draft.
If you're, do you think Jeremiah Love goes in the top 5, like to the Titans at 4?
I do ultimately. Maybe in other drafts he wouldn't, but in this draft, where again there's so many questions about everybody, I think Jeremiah Love is one of the safe picks. You look at the history of running backs who go that high. Yeah, there's been busts, but the hit rate's pretty good. If you're drafting a quarterback or a running back in the top 10, you're getting a good player. Even running backs in the first round lately, you're getting a good player generally. I'm not saying 100%, but it's a pretty good rate. And the one thing is, I haven't heard anybody in the draft community say Jeremiah Love is overrated or is not a good player. There's just about 100% approval rating on this guy, and that's rare. I don't think there's any question at all he's a talented guy, and I have a hard time believing whoever drafts him will regret it. He's not going to he's not going to move the needle like an edge rusher would, or a really high-end number 1 receiver. But those guys aren't available in this draft. So if you're the Titans sitting there at 4, I don't love them picking Jeremiah Love, no pun intended, because they just have so many other needs, and it just seems like that's a luxury pick. I like it more for the Giants at 5 than I do for the Titans at 4. But if the Titans do it, I'm not going to be that upset about it, because I'll say, yeah, this is probably the best player in the draft. I really like Caleb Downs, too. He might be the best player in the draft, or Arvell Reese might become the best player in the draft. But in the draft like this, where there's so many question marks, you're drafting a guy who you know is going to come in day one and be a high-end producer for you. So I really wouldn't have a problem with pretty much anybody drafting him wherever they draft him.
Frank Schwab on tonight talking draft. Find him at yahoosports.com. He's on X at Yahoo Schwab. He's here on the Nate Brown Show. So Giants made the move with the Bengals, and the Giants have the 5th pick now and the 10th pick. So they got Dexter Lawrence off to the Bengals. Did the Giants win on this? They're going to have 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they had 2 top 10 picks, they took Thibodeau and Evan Neal. That didn't work out too well for them. Thibodeau's been okay, and Neal's been a washout. So just having 2 top 10 picks doesn't guarantee you anything. But you shed the salary, you get rid of a guy who didn't want to be there anymore, or at least was up. He wasn't a model employee. If he's staying away from off-season workouts and wanting a pay raise, and this was a big kind of litmus test for John Harbaugh, I thought. I mean, he's in his first year as Giants coach. He's kind of running the front office now by most reports. What does he do in a situation like this? How do you handle a situation like this? And it's, hey, we're not going to put up with guys who don't want to be here. The old Mike Tomlin line. We want volunteers, not hostages. So I was pretty impressed with it, with what the Giants were able to do here. Because everybody has heard by now the stat that, that it's the first veteran non-quarterback to be traded for a top 10 pick since Randy Moss. So it's rare to get a top 10 pick for a guy. Dexter Lawrence is a great player. He's fantastic. But, the Giants can reset, a lower salary, get younger. Now, they got to hit on the picks. That's not going to be easy in this draft. But I thought they did pretty well. For the Bengals, I'm fine with it, too. The Bengals should be kind of thinking, let's win now. They're better than they have shown. They need a difference maker on defense. So for them to give up the 10th pick in a very shaky draft, I'm actually fine with that too. So one of those trades where I'm not declaring one winner over the other. I'm just saying, this is a pretty good move for both teams. Okay, so wide receiver to watch in the draft is Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Is that a game breaker? He's a number one. Not at all. To me, I think he's a good number 2. I think the only guy in this draft class who is kind of looks to me anyway like a really bona fide number 1 if he stays healthy is Jordan Tyson. I think he's got that upside. You look and what he does is very impressive. He's a good receiver. He can't stay healthy. And that's not a minor thing. I mean, you're taking a big risk if you're taking Jordan Tyson in the top 10, top 5 maybe. Who knows how high he's going to go. But I just see him as that upside. I don't see Lemon with that upside. I don't see Tate with that upside. I think they're good, solid number 2 guys. Tate, he doesn't have great measurables, and he wasn't incredibly productive at Ohio State. Do I think all of a sudden he's going to come to the NFL and be Jackson Smith and Jigba? Probably not. I don't see that. But it's again, those guys aren't available in this draft. Those absolute, no doubt, number 1, Malik Neighbors type of prospects. So whoever takes Carnell is probably going to get a good, solid receiver for the length of his career. I just don't think you're getting a guy who's going to make multiple Pro Bowls or anything like that. Frank, where are the Raiders and Fernando Mendoza in 3 years? 3 years. Oh, wow. That's a good question. I think they could look. There's much more that goes along with this than just Mendoza. And the Raiders have to prove they're a competent franchise to get back to the playoffs. But if Kubiak's the right hire as coach, and we don't know that yet, and they did improve their roster across the board this year in free agency. I was pretty impressed with that. And I think Mendoza's going to be good. Not great, but good. And I think the career comp for him is Kirk Cousins, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Kirk Cousins had a good, long career and productive. And if you put a good enough team around him, Kirk Cousins made the playoffs a bunch of times. Why can't Fernando Mendoza make the playoffs a bunch of times? I like the direction the Raiders are going. Unlike last year when they hired the oldest coach in NFL history and they traded for a 36-year-old quarterback, they seem to actually have a plan this year. We'll see. It's the Raiders. They end up tripping over themselves many, many times more often than not. So we'll see where it goes. But in 3 years, I can see the Raiders being a playoff team. I just they're making steps in the right direction. Tough division for sure. But I actually, for the first time in a long time, I look at the Raiders and say, you know what? I actually think they're maybe figuring some things out. Do you believe that A.J. Brown ends up with the Patriots? There's so much smoke that way that I almost have to feel that way, right? Like it's just impossible for me to believe this is all just a ruse. that the Patriots aren't interested and the Eagles aren't interested. I think they're just in a standoff right now to the Eagles trying to extract the most value possible. You haven't heard any other team even involved right now, which is kind of weird, which leads me to believe maybe not. Maybe there's some team lurking that's just going to come in at the last minute and make a deal, but I think you've heard so much Patriots-Eagles noise that I do think that's going to happen. But I will say, none of the Eagles, I know A.J. Brown is not happy. I also know I can't replace him. They got Dontavian Wicks. Great, awesome. Dontavian Wicks ain't A.J. Brown, and not even close. I don't think anybody would argue that. So you should feel like you have a Super Bowl level roster. I mean, it's pretty much the same roster as 2 years ago, the team that won the Super Bowl. You're just going to trade A.J. Brown right now? I get why. I understand why he's being dangled. I understand that he's not happy to be there, that the chemistry was a bad thing for the Eagles last year, and they need to change that. But if at the end of the day Howie Roseman just says, nope, I'm not getting enough for this guy, we're just going to make it work, that really wouldn't surprise me that much because, again, the Eagles are a better team with A.J. Brown. I don't even think anybody could argue otherwise.
Reporting out saying A.J. Brown could be headed to the Patriots in June. Frank Schwab in tonight. Follow him at Yahoo Schwab. He's at yahoosports.com. Draft is Thursday. Frank, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Frank Schwab tonight on South Dakota Sports Talk Show, national NFL writer covering the draft, yahoosports.com. Frank Schwab in. So he's saying there's some guys just aren't, this is question marks. Where are the Raiders and Fernando Mendoza in 3 years? I should have had that question of the day. So I'll ask you on the text line. Where are the Raiders and Fernando Mendoza in 3 years? Playoff team? Raiders are back with the number 1 pick Thursday night? Are the Raiders back with Fernando Mendoza? I'm a big Fernando fan. Big fan. I think he's going to be a good player. I do. Can he break through all the noise with the Raiders over the years? 605-720-1067 is how you can be a part of the program. That's the Barron's Wilson text line. Matt Zimmer's in next. SiouxFallsLive.com. Matt Zimmer on the Jacks, spring ball, and more headed your way.
This is South Dakota's Sports.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number 1 hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
At Renewal by Andersen, we handle everything from start to finish and beyond. We are your full-service custom replacement solution. Buy one Acclaim replacement window or ensemble entry door and get the second 40% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio across the state. We're on KWSN Fox Sports Sioux Falls. Check it in. Appreciate you. Also on Fox Sports Rapid City. Thanks for making this show possible. The Nate Brown Show live. Rob Kegron's coming in this next hour. Full hour with national radio host Rob Kegron live on a Reaction Monday. Rob Kegron's a New York City guy. He's hosted a national show over the years, and he's a big Giants fan. And look at this. Who would have thought the New York Giants would be like the story of the draft? They get a number 5 pick. They get the number 10 pick because they shipped Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals. Can Rob Kegron's Giants start winning before the Raiders? Raiders get the number 1 pick, and I ask you, where they're going to be in 3 years with Fernando Mendoza? Where are the Raiders going to be? I got listener text coming in. I got one here that said the Raiders are going to be in last still in the AFC West. In 3 years? Still in last? All right. Matt Zimmer's in tonight. Jack's spring game and all that good stuff. SiouxFallsLive.com. He just had a bunch of Jack chats, right? SiouxFallsLive.com. Matt Zimmer on tonight. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, Nate. How are you?
I'm doing good. Question for you. You give me your read. Where are the Las Vegas Raiders in 3 years after picking Fernando Mendoza as their quarterback Thursday?
Back in Oakland?
Interesting. All right. I didn't expect that answer. Are they in last, like my listener just said? They're in last still?
I mean, until they figure out what the hell they're doing, I mean, the Raiders are kind of the Raiders, right? I mean, what have they had, 1 or 2 winning seasons in the last couple of decades? I just always assume they're going to screw it up no matter what falls in their lap as far as draft picks or free agents. The Raiders are gonna Raider.
All right, there's that one. Hey, I want your read on this. You cover some high school sports, and I'll get to the Jacks and there's some questions I have, but there was an AD survey that was sent out, and South Dakota's been looking at how to help certain football programs, for example, move down if they're really, really struggling and not winning at all. Mm-hmm. And some might have to move up, like the Peers of the world that have won all the time. So the subcommittee looked at it. 65% of athletic directors say they don't support a success factor moving teams down or up. 17% they'd be likely to support. What do you think of that?
I'm not surprised. It seems like kind of a slippery slope. And it's just, I hate to fall back on that's not how we've ever done things, but that isn't how we've ever done things. And I just don't know. I mean, for a long time, when the 4 Sioux Falls schools were dominating everything, we heard a lot about something's got to be done. And then they added the 7th class, which didn't go by success. It went by numbers. So it has only, helped so much. Now the Sioux Falls schools aren't dominating as much as they used to, so it's kind of interesting. Like, do we still even need to have these 7 classes? But then obviously there are bigger problems in other areas, like you're alluding to, with schools just not having numbers and some schools just really not having any chance of competing where they're at. But I don't know what the answer is. I would be willing, if it were me, to try something like that, maybe do like a 5-year window or something and see how it goes. Because again, I think it's dangerous to potentially just say, oh, you can suck your way to a lower level and have easier competition. I don't know if that's a great idea, but when you're talking about, schools not being able to have football programs, or schools being so bad because kids don't want to go out for football because they know they're going to get their butts kicked.
Yeah.
It certainly creates some issues that, I feel like you do have to try something. So I'm not surprised that's the number. I'm not vehemently opposed to it, but I can see why the athletic directors probably are leaning away from doing that.
One of the top issues facing the Activities Association, according to athletic directors now, they said, what are your top issues facing the High School Activities Association right now? The second answer, top 2, parent behavior as fans and towards their own athletic program. Is that right?
I mean, we all see it. We all hear about it. I mean, we all saw what happened in Fargo last week, and that's certainly not unique to just that situation. I don't know. I mean, whether it's, for a long time we heard about a referee shortage, and part of the reason no one wants to go referee high school basketball is because of the abuse they get from parents. And obviously, you see it with coaches too. And it's one thing if coaches are not having success and parents get impatient and push for them to get rid of them. But, sometimes even having success isn't enough. Coaches or parents decide they try to get rid of coaches for whatever reason. You're not playing my kid, or you yelled at my kid at practice, or whatever it is. It's a problem. There's no denying that it is. And I don't know what the answer is, because, I certainly don't think you want to discourage parents from being involved in their kids' athletic endeavors, because, that's very important to it. But and I also don't think there should just be this blanket, coaches are completely protected from parents at all, because there are bad coaches out there. There are coaches out there that probably take advantage of situations where they aren't held accountable. And so I can understand that side of it too. But when you got a situation where all across the country, maybe, and I'm just speculating here, but there are people who are hesitant to go into that field of coaching, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever. And the reason is because they're just sick and tired of dealing with, delusional parents or impatient parents or whatever. You certainly got a problem. I'm not surprised, and I'm not surprised, and I'm glad to hear maybe that some administrative type of people are trying to push back on that.
Matt Zimmer on tonight. Appreciate his time. SiouxFallsLive.com for his coverage. You're covering the Jacks spring game. What's your perception here of the Jacks? Is it hard to tell in spring football?
I mean, sort of. But the thing I keep going back to is, last year in the spring, there were a lot of concerns, a lot of question marks because of the coaching change and all the players that left. And, they barely had enough players to have a spring season. They were still bringing guys in. There was still that spring transfer portal window. So after the spring game, they had guys leave, and then they added more. It wasn't even their team yet, And with all of that chaos that they dealt with, they were still 7-0. 2 months into the season, beat the eventual national champion on the road. And if Chase Mason doesn't get hurt, I don't think they win the national championship, but they probably go a lot farther than they did. So I'm looking at it kind of going, okay, they managed to have that much success last year with all that uncertainty, with all that chaos, with all those question marks, with all those new players and new coaches that didn't even know each other. Well, now they've had a whole year together. They didn't lose hardly anybody in the portal. The coaches all know what they're doing. They know their players. Everyone's got another year in the scheme, in the system. Chase Mason's back. They've got a ton of great players back, and they added a bunch of really good players in the portal. And the difference, too, is I think they really did kind of a Kurt Cignetti, Indiana sort of strategy here. They didn't go out and get the big 4-star, 3-star, or this guy played in the SEC, this guy played in the Big Ten. They got proven guys who have played already, who have produced, whether it was from other FCS conferences, and a lot of guys from Division II. They have a couple Division III guys, and these guys were all starters, all conference, all Americans. They've already played college football and played it at a high level. And I think when you add 10, 15, 20 guys like that to a roster that was already pretty good, that won 9 games in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, that to me just says that this is going to be a really good football team. And then you factor in that North Dakota State, the Big Bad Bison, aren't in the picture anymore. It's just really hard for me to envision a scenario where they're not one of the best teams in the country.
Okay, so speaking of the Jacks, Matt, I had Mark Gronowski on his last season every week, and what a leader, what a competitor. I think he's just high level. Now, his goal has been NFL. Where do you see Mark Gronowski here in the NFL? He's hoping to get drafted, but it might have to be an undrafted thing. Where's Mark Gronowski after that year at Iowa?
I won't be surprised if he gets drafted in the 6th or 7th round, but it sounds like that might be a long shot. I don't think he did himself any favors by going to Iowa, and that's not criticizing Mark at all. He played well, and, I saw what he did for 4 or 5 years at South Dakota State. We all know about the leadership, the intangibles. He's a big kid. He can run. When Iowa did let him throw, he finally started producing in the second half of the season. But I think being a part of that offense that isn't very explosive, I think that might have hurt his chances. He had an invite to go to the NFL Combine last year out of South Dakota State. This year, he goes to Iowa, plays in the Big Ten, and doesn't get an invite. What does that tell you? I'm not saying he made a mistake. He goes to Iowa, gets to play in the Big Ten, was a starter for the Hawkeyes. He got NIL money. He got to play in those stadiums. He got to be kind of a household name. I enjoyed watching him, and I've always rooted against the Iowa Hawkeyes my whole life. So that was cool to see him do it, but it's made him into a long shot now. I think the thing he has going for him, he's the winningest quarterback in college football history. That's a pretty big thing to have on your resume. So maybe he won't get drafted, but I don't know. If you're a team that has had difficulty putting quarterbacks together, or you have an opening in your quarterback room, you need a guy who's low risk, potential high reward. Why wouldn't you bring a guy like that into your building who has all the intangibles, is coachable, was a great teammate, is known for his leadership, and the guy is a winner? When you have wins like that, I just feel like almost any GM in football would say, well, why wouldn't we want to bring a guy like him here? He must know something. He must be doing something right when you've won more games than any quarterback that ever played college football.
Keeping an eye on where Gronowski ends up this NFL weekend. Matt Zimmer on tonight, SiouxFallsLive.com. A bunch of Jack's chats in there, and spring football winding down. Matt, I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
You bet, Nate. See ya.
Matt Zimmer tonight from Sioux Falls Live. Find him on X at Matt J. Zimmer. A good follow, and he joins us here on the Nate Brown Show tonight. All right, good stuff. It is a Rob Kagron Reaction Monday. His New York Giants are trying to turn this puppy up, man. 2 top 10 picks. They just got rid of one of their best players. Oh, boy. Which way is this going to go? Rob Kagron with the Giants and more. A Reaction Monday coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Spring is here and Splash City is blooming with savings. It's their spring kickoff sale. Your backyard retreat is calling. Imagine relaxing, soaking away the day in a brand new Sundance or jacuzzi spa from Splash City. During the spring kickoff sale, get 0% financing for 72 months or save up to $5,000 in instant rebates. Why Splash City? Highest quality brands, largest dealer in spas and hot tubs in the region, and you get huge savings every time. Don't wait. Visit Splash City in Sioux Falls, Rapid City, or Sioux City today.
When you win the new Millionaire for Life daily draw game from the South Dakota Lottery, you don't just win $1 million a year for the rest of your life. You win the chance to do whatever you want, like bring a hot dog cannon to a wedding reception. But just because you could, doesn't mean you should. What would you do if you became a millionaire for life, playing Millionaire for Life from the South Dakota Lottery?
Good fun. Must be 18 to play. Please play responsibly.
Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is everywhere you need us to be. On the sidelines, supporting our local athletes, at our clinic locations throughout the region, and at our Ortho Express walk-in clinic when you don't have time to wait. We're here when you need us, working as a team to make your comeback stronger than ever. Getting stronger, getting better, getting you back to your best self. The life of an athlete has its uncertainties, wins and losses, injury and recovery. In the Black Hills area, athletes can always count on Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, here for whatever moves you.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Doesn't matter where your ride's from. At Al's D&I, we baby them, every single one. Got a ride from across the pond? No worries. Let the ASE certified pros at Al's D&I pamper your pride and joy. Foreign or domestic, maintenance or repair. Doesn't matter if it requires special parts or tools or if its owner's manual is in another language. At Al's D&I, we don't care where your ride's from, but we do take great care to treat your ride like it is our own. Drive on in to Al's D&I, Sturgis Road, and online at alsdniautorepair.com.
Get ready to swing into spring at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort with grand prize drawings that will win you a different kind of green. We've teamed up with Elkhorn Ridge Golf Club to bring you grand prize drawings every Friday and Saturday night in April. We'll draw for free rounds of golf, and one lucky winner each night will win a couple's membership. Swing into spring and take your game to the next level. Exclusively at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort in Deadwood.
Okay, ma'am, just a few rules to follow for your new windows and doors.
Okay.
No washing.
For how long?
Forever. No shades, no furniture within 4 feet of the window.
How am I going to do that?
Yeah, I'd stack your furniture in the center of the room, and after the first rain, stay away from the window.
You're freaking me out.
There's no need to be freaked out about installing new doors or windows. Renewal by Andersen has installed over 100,000 windows and doors.
Oh, and don't lean on the window. We wouldn't want you falling out.
I can't lean against the window?
No, you can lean, just don't put any weight on it.
The guy who sold me the windows didn't tell me that.
Don't know. I'm just a subcontractor for the contractor.
Renewal by Andersen has master craftsmen who follow your job from start to finish.
Oh, and the picture window in the back room, it was an odd size, so we made it a little smaller.
How much smaller?
Yeah, about 5 feet smaller.
Yeah, well, now it's not a picture window.
Well, sure it is, if you hang a picture on it.
Brilliant.
Yep, that's why you pay us the big bucks. By the way, I only take cash.
Make the best decision for your home with exclusive custom-fit Acclaim windows and ensemble doors. Only from Renewal by Andersen. Learn more at rbarapidcity.com.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. The Nate Brown Show is on tonight. It is a Monday. It's always a great day in South Dakota. I know. It's even a Monday. The Nate Brown Show is live. Fox Sports Radio, KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. Welcome in on Fox Sports Rapid City. Appreciate you making us part of your day. Rob Kagron is in tonight. We got a one-hitter. This is it. He's out Thursday, so let's make this happen. That's going to be a deal Thursday for Rob. His New York Giants are now picking number 5 and number 10 Thursday night. I mean, this is a big night. I got the Broncos. We have nothing. We've got nothing. We got Jalen Waddle coming in. We got nothing. I always hate that when my team, you get a player, but then like draft night, you're like, we don't have anything. So you excited? How excited? Rate this thing 1 to 10 Thursday night. Like you're not a massive draft guy. You've told me that, right? But
I'm not.
You got number 5, number 10 Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously having 2 top 10 picks is both good and bad, right?
Because you guys screwed it up before?
Well, it's because we perennially are in the top 10 in the draft, right?
Okay.
And so it's like, how excited can I get that we have 2 picks? Well, yeah, I mean, if there is a year to be excited about 2 top 10 picks, it would be this year because you have a new head coach, John Harbaugh, kind of setting the stage for what kind of team he's going to build.
So you're okay with that, but
that part I like. But the fact is we have 2 picks because we stunk during the year again, number 1. And number 2, we traded away a 2 or 3-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, and I understand the trade. I certainly get it. But you're also losing a cornerstone of your defense, right? So you're not going to replace that guy right away with the 5th or 10th pick. It's not to say that those guys can't become that, but they're not walking in on camp. Even think about Abdul Carter, right? We drafted him 2 last year, right? Well, he had his ups and downs in his rookie season, right? Like generally defensive players, quarterbacks could possibly, wide receivers certainly could. Generally defensive tackles don't step in their first week or 2 and become the cornerstone of a defense. Takes them a year or 2.
They're saying you might even go the Shelby Harris, right? Like you might get somebody else and then pick somebody at 5, pick somebody at 10, a corner, a safety, something like this. But again, that's a defensive player. So the Giants picked your guy number 2. Now you got number 5, number 10. Did they make a mistake? Where are they trying to do? Dexter Lawrence, they shipped him out. He didn't want to be there, but you're kind of saying now are you supposed to be competing? Are you still building this with Harbaugh? You're kind of building, but you want to compete. Can you do that? You just got rid of your guy.
Well, yeah, you certainly can compete. I mean, they still have, 2 defensive ends. And I get that the game is changing. Football is certainly changing more towards you have to have that big presence in the middle, that defensive tackle. But, I mean, we have Brian Burns, who was excellent last year, the guy we traded from Carolina. and Kayvon Thibodeau, who's been up and down in his first few years, but he certainly can have an impact.
And Abdul's got to start showing up. He wants to show up to practice. You might want to start that.
Well, absolutely. And he's had his problems, which are more personal than anything. But, if a guy like Harbaugh is supposed to be this big-time coach, he has to find a way to connect with a guy like Abdul Carter. Can they compete? Yes. I mean, compete for a Super Bowl? No, not right away. Certainly they're a couple years away from that. But I don't have a huge issue with getting rid of Lawrence when we've seen this story. I mean, Nate, I'd say over the last 5 to 10 years, isn't there at least one of these stories every offseason, right, where a big-time, generally more in defense, but a big-time defensive player wants to get paid big bucks, and the team that he currently plays for either can't afford him or doesn't think he's worth it, and so kind of forces a trade. I mean, think about last year with Micah Parsons. Right?
Micah Parsons.
It happens a lot where these players get to that point where they want that. Now, Dexter's already been paid, right? Let's be fair. It's not as if he didn't get any contract from the Giants. He certainly did.
He wanted a big one, though.
And he wanted a big one off of what we would all classify as a down year. Now, there might be a lot of reasons for why it was a down year, but when you come off a down year and you still have a year left on your deal and you want to renegotiate, you're not dealing from a position of strength. And so I don't have an issue with moving. Now, do I think he still has many good years left in him? Yes, I absolutely do. I'm not crazy enough to think that this one down year, which was still very good, is indicative of the fact that you're not going to get anything left out of this guy. I think he's still going to be a big-time presence and on a good defense. And it's not like Cincinnati's a great defense. They certainly need help on the defensive line. But on a good defense, can he be a linchpin? Absolutely. If it were me and I were running the team and the guy doesn't want to be there, and I know to keep him I have to pay him even more than I think he's worth right now, I don't have a problem when you're getting the 10th pick in the draft.
I would agree with that. I think actually your Giants getting a top 10 pick here,
it's a steal
for Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to take that.
The stories I was reading last week when you and I were even chatting about it off the air was, maybe they can get a second and a third, maybe a second, third, and a fifth or something like that, like where you get a number of picks, but nothing in the first round. Not only did you get a first-round pick, you got a top 10 pick, right? You got a guy you got an opportunity to draft two players now that theoretically, if you draft well, could be generational talents that you can get 5 years out of, at kind of more reasonable deals than you would be paying Dexter Lawrence right now.
So what do you want your New York Giants to do? Are they going to, if you have Caleb Downs from Ohio State there at number 5, you're going to take Downs and then you're going to take another defensive player? I mean, you guys think you have all these offensive stars. You're going to go defense?
Okay, well, here's what I would do. First, I would absolutely draft at 5. I wouldn't give up that pick. And I would either go Downs or Styles, the linebacker. And I know that's a little high to go for a linebacker, but, I mean, you watch him play, and he looks like a generational talent. I would take defense for sure, but I would not be opposed if they took a wide receiver at 10, right? And I think that they might do that. Someone who can free up Neighbors a little bit more, right? Like, if you're going to, I know what you think. The whole audience knows what you think about Jackson Dart. But if you're going to hitch your ride to Jackson Dart and give him an opportunity to succeed, he's going to need some more talent in the wide receiver corps. Malik Neighbors is not enough. I absolutely would have no problem if they took wide receiver there.
Okay, so you're not going to get, Carnell Tate from Ohio State? Are you going to get Mekhi Lemon from USC? Those are your wide receivers.
And apparently Joe Shane has visited with both of them, including as recently as last week with Lemon out there. I think they did that in Arizona. So the fact is, they were thinking about this trade for a while and that this could be a possibility. I would not be surprised if they drafted either of those two guys as wide receiver.
Rob Kagron's New York Giants send Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals. They get the number 10 pick, so you got two top 10. You're trying to get in the mix in the NFC East. Here's another question. Picking first Thursday night is the Raiders. I asked my audience tonight, where are the Raiders and Fernando Mendoza in 3 years? Do you have that answer? Where are the Raiders and Fernando Mendoza? They're like your New York Giants. They're trying to get out of the bottom. Can the Raiders get out of the bottom of the AFC West in 3 years?
No, I don't think so.
I'm
not a believer in Mendoza, and I might be in the minority there. Now, I like his personality. I like his spirit. I like his attitude. I like his professionalism.
All of that stuff.
I like everything about the guy, the human being. I am a big believer in quarterbacks that come from more pro-level systems that can make that transition a little easier into the NFL. If you watch the Indy game, he played great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, Fernando Mendoza stunk during the year. He was great. But the kind of teams that he's going to be going up against, there's a big learning curve. I mean, he was making 1 and 2 reads, right? Like nothing. And I don't want to get into the weeds on this, but when you watch tape, and the one thing I do love about draft is watching all the prep stuff. I don't care about the draft night as much as other people do, but I like watching about these players. And when you watch about Mendoza, he's going to have to make some big leaps to be an NFL quarterback because you're not going to get your first read that often. Your second, third, fourth read, he's going to have to process a lot quicker. I like his moxie. I like his style. I'm rooting for him. I'm not convinced he's going to make that leap.
Okay, but let me reference this. I was not a Bo Nix believer on this night a few years ago. I was not a Bo Nix believer. He's he just his reads. He just says it's one thing, and that's the Oregon play, and he throws it there, and that was the whole thing. Bo Nix. So who's better, Fernando Mendoza or Bo Nix? And now he's got the Broncos on the verge of the Super Bowl.
Well, certainly, and absolutely, if he were healthy, they would have been every opportunity to get to the Super Bowl at that point. I think Mendoza has probably more talent. I'd like to see him, again, here's the other thing about the Raiders.
He's a bad organization. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. That's part of developing quarterbacks is having people to develop them. If there is one organization that we can all write down that has not done well in developing quarterbacks, is it not the Las Vegas Raiders? I mean,
Cleveland Browns, maybe Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, there are a couple. There absolutely are a few. The New York Jets have done it many times over. There are a bunch of, but you want me to put stock, like if you told me Mendoza was going, let's just say New England didn't have Drake May and he was gonna go to the New England Patriots. Yeah, okay. I think absolutely that is an opportunity for a guy like him to be successful. I worry about it in a system like that with the Raiders.
So you put the Raiders in last in 3 years, even with Mendoza. I got a listener text that just came in. Listener text, look at the math. For them to at least be better in 3 years, you're saying Mahomes is done, and not to mention Nix and Herbert can't get it done with their team. So the division is brutal and will stay brutal in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, short of him making this big jump, which he might do, and maybe with the new staff there, maybe Brady's influence. I get it. There are factors that could absolutely change the tenor of the Las Vegas Raiders organization. Okay, fine. Still got to surround him with some talent, right? I mean, he has Brock Bowers. Who else?
So you're a believer in the Giants making it to the top of the NFC East before the Raiders. I guess I would believe that too.
But I think you have to be fair, right? Like we don't have to go against Mahomes. Don't get me wrong. Jalen Hurts is very good, and Dak is good. We don't know what's going on with Washington based on injury, right?
Philadelphia, are they declining? I think so.
I think so too. And they're about to trade A.J. Brown. That's already, the cat's out of the bag on that one. So do I think we have an easier road ahead? Yeah, absolutely.
Hope springs eternal for Rob Kagron and his New York Giants. He's got 2 top 10 picks. Last time they did this, I think they messed it up. They had Thibodeau. He's iffy, and your other guy's gone. So just watch it Thursday night. Let's make some plays. Coming right back on the Nate Brown Show, I do want to get into this. It's the controversial subject. And Rob Kagron likes him, Mike Vrabel. What's the real story on this coming up?
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The #1 hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
At Renewal by Andersen, we handle everything from start to finish and beyond. We are your full-service custom replacement solution. Buy one Acclaim replacement window or ensemble entry door and get the second 40% off with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Don't wait. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place? It's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in the Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Radio, powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union, my family's banking partner. We've been with them now quite a while. Absolutely the best choice for us. I'm telling you, it's the best choice for you. Get a bank that works for you, whether it's the best rates, vehicle loans, personal, business. They got it all. Best in technology and convenience. I'm glad I switched from my last bank. Start at bhfcu.com. Experience the benefits of Black Hills Federal Credit Union. 18 locations across the state from the Black Hills to Sioux Falls. bhfcu.com. Become a member and let them help you from personal to business banking. bhfcu.com. Rob Kagron's in. He's ready to roll for Thursday night as Giants have the picks. And so that's become the NFL draft story, which is amazing. The Giants and getting 2 top 10 picks. And then Fernando Mendoza being the number 1 pick for the Raiders. And can he bring them back? So here's the thing. There's been this soap opera with the NFL and Mike Vrabel and the allegations and the pictures of the last 2 weeks. And NFL reporter Diana Rossini. Diana Rossini resigned. She's done at The Athletic. And then Mike Vrabel just, there's nothing. There's no state. I mean, there's nothing being said. I don't know which way this is going to go. Maybe this will be dying out, Rob, but the days of our lives of the NFL, is Mike Vrabel's reputation impacted by this thing the last 2 weeks?
I'd say mildly, right? I mean, certainly when there is this much cloud of suspicion around him, it's creating a distraction. Now, if this were happening during the season, it'd be a huge problem, right? But the fact that it's happened in the off season, it's not as if he has a whole lot of time with his players right now where they're distracted by all of the stories that are going on about this. So I'd say mildly. Certainly, it doesn't look good. So I think his reputation gets hit a bit. But I don't think it's any. I think the story goes away for him.
You do,
yeah, for sure.
He's going to have to answer questions on this. He's going to have to say something sometime.
Well, and if he were smart, and this is where sometimes I think athletes, I think coaches, executives, when things like this occur, I think their thought first and foremost is let's just keep pushing it down the line, see if it goes away. If it were me, and I hope I wouldn't get myself into this, but if it were me, I would want to, especially when it's in the offseason, get it handled now, right? You don't want to keep pushing off questions because the media is going to ask you the question one way or the other.
Yeah, this is Boston here.
Like, let's not wait until we get into training camp where we have to start answering questions, because at that point, now you really do have a problem because it's taking away from your preparations for a season. I'd get it out of the way now, for sure. He doesn't seem like he's going to take any questions before the draft, which normally coaches would have an opportunity to take questions right around draft time. I would absolutely get ahead of this now. I think it hurts the more he waits, but I still think it's mild. I think it will go away for him.
Now, when this first came out, I do want to say, like, they both were, said, this is false, there's nothing to this, there's this, and then it just kept on going, and people said it's private investigator was the reporting, and then the allegations, and now Rossini resigns, and then Mike Vrabel's just kind of waiting in the background. He's going to keep getting asked about this, and like you said, you're going, what is the right play? You have to release an official. I mean, he's got to do something, and this is going to go into the draft, and people are going to say, what's Mike Vrabel? But I don't think, I'm with you, I think eventually this just goes away, right? I think the football discussion becomes, well, Mike Vrabel's not going to lose his job over these allegations and things.
Absolutely not. He's not going to. And
by the way, I mean, my opinion is he shouldn't. I mean, there's people that do transgressions, and that's off the field. I don't think he should. Now, people say, well, Rossini did. Well, I don't know how the Athletic handled it because she's a reporter, and if this stuff is true, she's getting information. I think that's a different scenario.
Yeah, it has, and I know a lot of people want to make, and we're not going to go down this path, a lot of people want to make it about the male versus the female. That's not what's going on here, right? This is a journalistic thing, right? Like, if you are a journalist and you're covering a subject, you crossing those lines and those boundaries with your subject, I mean, there are clear delineations of how the media world would hold themselves to certain standards in those realms, right? Like, that is the issue here, and that is why her situation is radically different than Vrabel's. Now, don't get me wrong. If Vrabel if it got to the point where it was such a distraction to his team, the NFL would, the team would be the first to move on from him, right? They're only going to tolerate so much of a distraction before they say it's not worth it for our team. You and I both don't think that is happening now. Certainly won't happen as it gets closer to the season, short of us finding out a lot more of something that we haven't heard about right now. There is a big difference between these two cases.
Now, I was going to, when you come in, we have a partnership here, and you come in, I was going to, interlock hands with you and see if that's all just above board, and we just have a great show. But then I thought, well, people might think we're, a little closer, and I thought, you're a good guy, but I'm not going to interlock hands.
Kearney be selling those photos for sure.
So, by the way, Mike Vrabel, your guy, you love him.
I do.
And
great coach.
He's by the book. He holds his players accountable. So you say his reputation's been damaged just slightly by these allegations.
Well, sure. If you're above board, this kind of above board, just like you said, holding guys to certain standards, and you don't hold yourself to the same standard, your reputation has to get knocked a little bit.
I don't know where this is going to go. It's really gets personal. So then you're like, well, they have spouses and stuff, and I don't know where this is going to go. It's really interesting because I didn't touch it. I'm like, this is days of our life stuff. But it's really interesting if these allegations are there. Coach, reporter, what really was going on. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. Coming right back on the Nate Brown Show, we do have a big topic here. Number one player in the NBA playoffs to watch is who? Number one player, NBA playoffs to watch is who? I think Rob and I have the same answer, but then we're going to peel off into something else next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
If your bun falls apart halfway through your burger, it's not the right bun. If it tastes bland and blah, also definitely not the right bun. Turns out the right bun isn't called a bun at all, but a roll. Artisan Hearth brioche rolls to be exact. Soft, fresh, dependable, and oh so good. Basically the +1 you want at every cookout. Artisan Hearth rolls, because sometimes a bun isn't enough.
Being in business has its rewards as well as its challenges. It means being the first one in the door in the morning and turning off the lights when you leave at night. Your business is unique, and you need a bank that understands your needs. You deserve the best. You need a financial partner that is invested in your success. You need Pioneer Bank and Trust. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Are you tired of being pointed to a wall of shoes? At Trav's Outfitter, we know better. Buying shoes shouldn't be guesswork. That's why we find the right footwear for the way you move, whether you're walking, working, or just on your feet all day. Athletics, work boots, Western boots, everyday comfort. Because when the fit is right, life is better. Come find us in the old Kmart building. Trav's Outfitter, best selection, best service, no BS.
Are you searching for a new vehicle? At Spearfish Motors, we have pre-owned vehicles in every price range, from budget-friendly to like-new luxury. We've got the selection you want and a price that can't be beat. Heavy-duty diesels, light-duty pickups, roomy family SUVs, and sporty sedans. All locally sourced and all priced below market. Click, call, or come by Spearfish Motors today or shop anytime at spearfishmotors.com.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at bhosc.com.
At Connect Home Center, they've been a part of the Mead Lumber family since 2000. Now, they're bringing everything together under one trusted name, Mead Lumber. Don't worry, your favorite team, great service, and high-quality products aren't going anywhere. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name. From design to finish, here for you every step of the way. Check them out at meadlumber.com.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
All right, welcome back in. Your Sports, Your Show. The Nate Brown Show is on. Rob Kagron is in. It's a Reaction Monday on Fox Sports Radio. We got one player that, would you take this guy late in the draft? That's coming up later. Would you take this quarterback late in the draft and just take your shot? Speaking of players, NBA playoffs going on right now, and Rob Kagron saying NBA playoffs, the games weren't close. A lot of them weren't close. You got Nuggets-Wolves. That's the one I'm really interested in. I'm interested in Nuggets-Wolves. I'm rooting Nuggets. I know there's a bunch of Wolves fans. I get it, the Minnesota-Denver thing in South Dakota. I'm going Nuggets. I do want to watch the Spurs. I watched that game last night. Second half, the Spurs pulled away. And so I started thinking, who's the number one player to watch in the NBA playoffs? You had LeBron James and the Lakers win the other day. LeBron James, 41 years old. The number one player to watch in the NBA playoffs right now, 2026, is who?
I actually think it's close. But I think based on what we saw last night, 35 points in his first ever playoff game, how is it not 7'5" Victor Wembanyama?
Okay, that's my pick, but I was starting to think like, well, are you going to watch LeBron at 41? Is he an attraction still? You said it's close. Is LeBron not in here?
Oh, he's not number 2. Definitely not. He's up there for sure at 41. I mean, although he was not the story of the game. I don't know if you watched that. I watched a lot of that game on Saturday night. What's the kid's name? Was it Denard or Kennard? Whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Kennard.
Former Duke guy.
Oh, he had like 27 points in the game. Like, he was lights out from beyond the arc, too. So he was interesting to watch in that game. I actually think the other one is Denver Nuggets, is Jokic, right? Like, Jokic quietly on Saturday had a triple-double, right? Like 25, 13, and 11, right? I made sure because I thought he had a triple-double, and I wasn't sure. I checked again this afternoon. Like, there is something, like Wembanyama, I think you can't take your eyes off him on the court, right?
Right.
And so that's why I say he's number 1. But Jokic is so dominant of a basketball game. To think that this big man has, first of all, he averages for the season a triple-double, right? But right away, game 1, he's 25, 13, and 11. He is such a dominant force on a basketball court that I think he's a close second to Wembanyama.
Okay, so I love Jokic. We talked about him. He's not in like the marketable players. He doesn't have a huge brand, but if you're a basketball fan, Jokic, I love watching him. He's playing tonight against the Wolves. So it is Wemby, number 1 player to watch because he's a star. He's 7'5". You just got the defensive player of the year, youngest guy to ever get that, 22 years old. If I were to take this, I said, who are your top 3 players moving forward? Who's your number 1 player you would invest your money in? I'm going to invest in this guy. Marketing, brand. This is the guy I'm going to put my money into. We say it's Wembanyama as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because he's so different in the game of basketball. And that's not to say that Jokic isn't a big dude. Obviously, Jokic is huge. But a 7'5" guy... Like, Jokic's game, he certainly can shoot outside, but Jokic's game is down below, right? It's where that's his bread and butter. Wembanyama's game is just as much outside as it is inside.
Yeah, I watched last night. I'm like, man, he really can do this.
Yeah, and so because it's such a different way of playing basketball being that big, I think there's so much upside, right? Like, he has found a way to be this good this early in his career. And you would imagine that, as health, right? We got to worry about health. But besides health, what do you have to worry about with Wembanyama?
That is my serious argument. If you're going to actually take your money, we're buying stock, the risk on Wembanyama injuries, 7'5", the body breaking down, it has to be real. So my number 2 has been Cooper Flagg, who I would invest in right now, and the upside and the brand and the whole thing, and he's not for you.
No, absolutely not. He's young, still a little bit too unproven. I think he has here's what I'd say you'd be doing. You're buying low, right? And you have a high ceiling there, right? I would go more of a sure thing with either Doncic or Anthony Edwards.
See, and I can't do Doncic. You think he's going to be the guy?
He is the guy. He averaged 33 points during the season. 33 points. Like, this is wild.
He's James Harden light. He's just going to score and do nothing. He's James Harden light.
No, the difference between him and Harden is at least he shows up in big games. Now, I agree with you. It doesn't do anything else besides score, right? But
that's it.
But Harden's problem has always been he could score except when it counted the most. I haven't seen that from Doncic. Now, I still think it might be Anthony Edwards because of his age, only 24 years old, how dynamic he is as a player. Again, some of this has to do with the team you're on. I haven't seen enough. T-Wolves are going to have a hard enough time getting out of the first round here against Denver, right? Yeah. So that's part of the problem, too. But I like Anthony Edwards as a brand because he is...
You would invest in him.
Yeah, because I think him and Wemby could become faces of the league going forward as LeBron is basically done now.
That's who, if you pointed, like, Jordan had the 90s, okay? Kobe starting to get in there in the 2000s, LeBron and Kobe.
Yep.
And now it's the next two, and it's Wemby and Flagg for me.
Yeah, I just think that Flagg, we got to see a little more, give it another year or two, and I could probably get on board with that. But I think Anthony Edwards will always be a bit of a bigger brand.
By the way, I had a listener text coming in saying, what about hockey? I am hyped for the Minnesota Wild. And you're a guy that's, You're watching the hockey playoffs. I'm not quite there yet.
I watched more hockey this weekend. I watched plenty of basketball. I watched more hockey than I did basketball. I will say that. Because the early rounds of the hockey playoffs, first of all, playoff hockey is so much more entertaining than playoff basketball. Don't get me wrong. I love high-level basketball, not as much as you do, but playoff hockey you're on the edge of your seat, and the games over the week, first of all, it's way more competitive, right? Either of these teams in most of those series can win. Right? None of us think that OKC or San Antonio is losing their first-round matchups.
Right. That is true.
In hockey, that doesn't happen. And I watched the Boston-Buffalo game last night, Sabres and Bruins. It was out of this world entertaining, so interesting. I'm absolutely going to stay up to watch the Edmonton game tonight. I'm completely into the hockey playoffs.
So would you? Here's what I would change about the NBA playoffs, these matchups. Do we need 7-game 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7? Do we need 7-game series? It used to not be like that.
No, we grew up in the era where it was best of 5, and upsets would happen in the best of 5. You remember what was it? Denver beat Seattle. I think was one of the big ones
back in the day. I would change. I would even say I'm serious. Like, and they won't because it's money, it's TV. Best of 3 is good enough.
I wouldn't say best of 3 because you don't want your top teams getting knocked off in a fluke. And best of 5 is not a fluke to me, right? I think I don't like the best of 3 because you lose the first game and all of a sudden you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's pressure.
The only way I would agree to a best of 3 is if all 3 games were in the better team's arena, right? There would kind of like they do in the wild card now with baseball, right? Like they have a huge advantage in that best of 3 that all the games are going to be played at home. Then I could maybe get on board with it, but I don't want them traveling back and forth for a best of 3.
At least give me best of 5 because you're watching. I mean, you're going to see best of 7 here, and you got the Spurs aren't going to lose to the Blazers. I don't think OKC's not going to lose.
Is there a series that right now you would tell me in the NBA playoffs that is going to go the distance 7 games?
Only one, potentially. This Magic Pistons looks interesting, potentially, because it's kind of iffy in the East. Nobody's a dominant. I think the Celtics are the best, but Pistons got the number 1. Wolves Nuggets could go 5-6.
Yeah, for sure, 5-6. I'm asking, will
Probably
we get a deciding
7.
game in the 8 playoff series that there are? Well, I can guarantee you we're going to get one in hockey.
Yeah, hockey playoffs, no doubt. First round games are tight. I will ask Rob Kagron this. Would he take this pick late in the draft this weekend? It's a quarterback. You guys know him. Would you take him? Next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Mom, can we please go to Waitiki Indoor Water Park Resort?
Waitiki? What's so special about it?
Are you kidding? It's got slides, fountains, a lazy river, everything. And it's just a short drive to Rapid City. If we stay at one of the hotels, we get water park passes for free.
Wow, you really did your homework. Okay, what do you say we pack our swimsuits and hit Waitiki this weekend?
Yes, best mom ever.
Unlock your adventure at WaitikiWaterpark.com.
At Dakota Bank, we're more than just a place to bank. We're your neighbors. From everyday banking to home mortgages, insurance, and trust services, we're here for every step of your financial journey. We believe in doing what's right for you because we live here, work here, and care about our communities just like you do. Go with confidence, go with trust, go with Dakota Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and investment products are not FDIC insured, may lose value, and have no bank guarantee.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Lows level off around 47. Tonight, under mainly clear skies, west winds around 5 miles per hour. Lots of sunshine again tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 86. Partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow night, lows level off around 54. Slight chance of rain showers Wednesday and Thursday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 76 degrees.
Mr. Liquor's the only place to find select bottles of bourbons and whiskeys custom etched with the most popular South Dakota landmarks, including Mount Rushmore, Pactola, and Sheridan Lakes, plus the B-21 Raider Edition. Your choice for just $39.99. Or check out the brand new Jefferson Bourbon custom etched bottle celebrating America's 250th birthday. Also, save $11 off a $7.50 bottle of Crown Royal Chocolate, now only $19.99. Mr. Liquor, off Catron next to Walmart, or on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
Whether you're a pro or a Joe, a weekend warrior or a gardening great, Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here when you need us. Nobody plans an injury, but when people throughout the Black Hills and beyond suffer a setback, Monument Health Orthopedics is here to provide comprehensive medical care. Our team of board-certified orthopedic surgeons and specialists is dedicated to helping patients regain the quality of life they've lost due to an injury, arthritis, or joint wear and tear. Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for everyday athletes like you.
What makes a credit union different from a bank? At Highmark Credit Union, it starts with you. We're member-owned, not shareholder-driven. That means our earnings go back to you through better rates, lower fees, and personal service. Unlike big banks, we put people first. You're not just an account number, you're part of a community. Highmark Credit Union. Local, personal, and here for you. We'll make it happen. Federally insured by the NCUA.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk show.
South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Radio. Packed Monday show. Talked a lot of high school sports in the first hour. Some interesting news coming out today from the athletic director's survey. Go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. We'll put it up tonight, and you can catch all of the show on demand. Search the Nate Brown Show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Rob Kegron in the second hour. It's a Reaction Monday. So draft is this week, Thursday night. You got your Giants picking top number 5, number 10, 2 top 10 picks. And then you go into the weekend, and then we start seeing who's going to take some of these guys we know. They're great college players. And then are they going to get picked? How about this guy? Runner-up, Heisman. He thought he should have won it, of course. Is this Johnny Manziel the second? Or is this, would you take a shot? Vandy QB Diego Pavia. Would you draft Pavia late if you're a team?
I absolutely would not.
What? You're kidding me.
100% would not.
I thought you would say yes. I mean, this guy's a player.
No, and it's not because of his attitude or some of the nonsense that's been around him, because I don't think he's... I get the comparisons to a Manziel. I don't think that will be his ruination. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll adjust to pro-life, and he probably will get a shot. But there's a simple...
So he's going to get a shot.
Yeah, you asked if I would, and I absolutely would not. And it's a simple reason. He's too small. He doesn't... You are obsessed lately with these small quarterbacks,
well,
right?
You're obsessed with it.
No,
you're obsessed with it.
Oh, let's get Kyler Murray on the team because he's been so amazing in the pros.
If you're small, you can't play. If you're small, you can't play. That's what you're telling me. Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl. It's amazing.
Okay, there certainly are anomalies, and there are always exceptions to the rule. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't think Pavia's game at 5'10 translates well to the NFL. And it's not because of his character or his personality. It's because I don't like those kind of really small quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I don't think they...
As a matter of fact, you're obsessed with it. Anyway, if
because
you're small,
they don't
you
win.
Can't play.
They don't. One guy, you've mentioned Russell Wilson. Who else has ever had real success in the NFL?
Drew Brees, kind of a small guy.
Drew Brees wasn't 5'10", Nate. Diego Pavia is listed at 5'10".
You know what he did?
He's barely taller than I am.
You know what he did to Vanderbilt. You know what he did for Vanderbilt football.
And I like his moxie. I like his competitiveness. I think all of that translates well.
I would draft him. Why wouldn't you, Lee?
Because 5'10" guys get hurt, and they get hurt quickly.
It's a 6th, 7th round. He will go. Will he go?
Yeah,
6th, 7th round.
He probably will. Somebody will take a shot at him.
Somebody's going to go Diego Pavia.
Yeah,
I
agree.
High level he played in the SEC with Vanderbilt and brought Vandy football back. So I would pick Diego Pavia. Rob Kegron, he wouldn't, just mark it down, he wouldn't take Kyler Murray. He wouldn't give Diego a shot.
Nope.
So you got to be 6 feet or taller. Is that right?
At least. I would say 6'1", 6'2" in the modern era now.
Well, I gave Rob Kagron a shot on this show, even though he's 5'8". He's pushing it. Rob Kagron, Nate Brown, out the door, and he's out the rest of the week. We'll see who his Giants take on Thursday. Thanks for listening to the program. The podcast is going up right now.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in?